Paul Monaghan.
Thank you, Mrs Main, for the opportunity to debate the crucially important issue of protecting our planet's wildlife, and in this case the magnificent African elephant, which, as we've heard, is at grave and immediate risk from slaughter by poachers for their ivory tusks. I suspect many people watching this debate at home, my constituents included, will be wondering why we're debating the plight of elephants today. Indeed, the many people that signed the petition are, I suspect, bemused that this Parliament is again debating a subject that all right-minded people would consider incontestable. Many would agree that the subject of this debate is incontestable because they are familiar with the plight of the African elephant. They are familiar with the plight of the African elephant because they have seen how they are ruthlessly killed and slaughtered, how poachers use axes and even chainsaws to hack into their faces to access their tusks, and how all of this is done in front of their young without a second thought as to the horrific impact on their psychology. We know that elephants are intelligent social animals with complex social structures, subtle systems of learning and sophisticated communication. But we are only beginning to recognise the true impact of just how the slaughter of these animals is endangering the species and the ecosystem within which they live. But sadly, we are having this debate because the UK Government is contributing to the conditions that encourage the slaughter of these animals, and because the UK Government has failed to deliver the promises that were made in the Conservative Party election manifestos of both 2010 and 2015, for which many people voted. In September 2015, then US President Obama and China's President Jinping together pledged to enact near-complete bans on the import and export of ivory. They are to be commended for their pledge, which they upheld. In June 2016, the US Government introduced new regulations to ban the trade in ivory, and at the end of 2016, China announced that it too would introduce a ban on all ivory trade and processing activities by the end of 2017. India, Hong Kong and France, along with almost all African countries, have also introduced bans on ivory trading. In contrast to the United States, China, Hong Kong, India, France and many African nations, the UK Government has failed to act. And as my honourable friend for North Ayrshire and Arran has noted, that is regrettable. Despite the Conservative manifesto of 2010 noting to give wildlife greater protection, we will press for a total ban on ivory sales and the destruction of existing stockpiles. And then, despite the Conservative manifesto of 2015 explaining under the heading "We will tackle international wildlife crime," that we will press for a total ban on ivory sales and support the Indian Government in its efforts to protect the Asian elephant, the UK Government has done almost nothing. It is largely because the UK Government has failed to deliver on its manifesto commitments that E-petition 165905 was signed by over 107,000 right-minded members of the public. Many will be watching this debate today. I congratulate and thank each of them for creating this opportunity today. In fact, Mrs Main, 85% of the public think buying and selling ivory in the UK should be banned outright. The E-petition rightly notes that 30,000 African elephants are slaughtered every year just for their tusks, and yet the UK Government, despite the promises that have been made, has still not outlawed the trade. From 2009 to 2014, 40% of UK customs seizures were ivory items, and yet this evidence of an horrific trade has not been sufficient for the UK Government to implement promised action to ban the trade in ivory and fully commit to outlawing the markets that fuel the wasteful slaughter of elephants. As my honourable friend for East Kilbride, Straven and Lesmahago notes, there are only around 450,000 African elephants left in the world. In another 6 years, there will be half that number. I wonder how far numbers have to fall before the UK Government finally starts taking the action promised over 7 years ago to outlaw a trade that is placing elephants at risk from extinction. In fact, the UK has a thriving, growing domestic ivory market. Ivory is widely available for sale, subject only to some licensing restrictions on post-1947 ivory. Independent reports have found the UK market plays a critical role in encouraging illegal wildlife trade, provides a hiding place for the trade in illegal products manufactured from post-1947 ivory, and is seriously undermining international efforts to close down a hideously destructive trade. The UK Government's failure to act is simply inexcusable. The UK Government's inaction is all the more shaming because while other countries are implementing bans, as recently as the 21st of September 2016, the UK Government announced plans to permit trade in ornaments and works of art dating prior to 1947 by classing the ivory as antique. More welcome, however, was the announced intention to ban the sale of worked ivory produced after 1947, but disappointingly, that remains just an intention. DEFRA, we understand, now plan to consult with environmental groups, industry, whatever that might be, and other relevant parties to establish how and when such a ban could be introduced, as well as necessary exemptions early in 2017. When exactly, Minister? Sadly, despite the manifesto commitments of 2010 and 2015, that consultation hasn't happened, and the UK Government is procrastinating. An immediate and total ban is desperately required. We must be absolutely clear that the UK market in ivory is connected to the illegal market in post-1947 or modern ivory, and that the UK Government should be leading action to completely close down the domestic market with immediate effect for both pre- and post-1947 ivory. The UK Government's current proposal to ban sales of post-1947 ivory do not go far enough. Focusing on so-called modern ivory will not significantly reduce the amount of ivory bought and sold in the UK, and will do little to stop the illegal wildlife trade across the world. It will, in fact, continue to encourage the slaughter of African elephants and continue to offer a hiding place for the trade in the products manufactured from the ivory taken from slaughtered animals. The UK Government's failure to act on this issue is damaging international momentum and is undermining the actions taken by other countries. We need effective action on a range of fronts, just as my honourable friend from Glasgow North has explained. The people that signed this petition want the UK Government to stop procrastinating and begin acting. The people want the UK Government to join the global effort underway to close down the UK's ivory market and to end the global ivory trade. Our constituents are not interested in excuses. They're not interested in another round of consultations, and they're not interested in spins. They are interested in protecting one of our planet's most extraordinary animals, and they want to know you will honour your manifesto promises and start to protect these priceless animals. I urge you, Minister, for goodness sake, get on with the task.